Hello my friends and welcome. Let's go for the latest update from Ukraine. It seems like Ukraine targets the Russian power plants and power lines, actually the same stuff that Russia does in Ukrainian territory. Today 3 of the big kabooms were registered, one in Bryansk Oblast just 1 hour ago. Early morning the big Kursk power station was also under attack. About the most recent one in Bryansk, there are lots of the households without electricity right now, but also there is the big military base that is used as the supply hub for the Russian army, and it is also without electricity. We all expect that this winter Ukraine will face the similar attacks on its territory from the Russian Federation, more massive than current ones. In a way, it might be harder for Ukraine this winter compared to the previous one. For Russia, they are not under the threat of blackouts or something. Basically, the country is huge. It is impossible to cause blackout in Russia. In Ukraine, it is possible. Last year on 22nd of November, there was the total blackout in Ukraine for the single day. This was the Kursk. This morning you can see there are lots of the power lines, so for sure there is the power plant. And again the Russian military base. The last night Russia lost a very sophisticated fighter jet, Sukhoi Su-35. This is the best fighter jet they have. We're not speaking about the 5th generation of Sukhoi 57, because those airplanes are still wet and do not actually meet the requirements of the 5th generation airplane. So if we speak about the massive production, this is the best one they have, and also they shut down this airplane themselves. The accident took place near to Tokmak. Russia by mistake fired their S-300 missile, hitting this airplane. This is the video of this accident, so it was the big flash and the remains of the airplane just went down. Pilot lost his life in this event. We have this picture from the Russian media resources. They say, "Forever fly to you, brother." If they say like that, there was the pilot who wasn't able to eject from this fighter jet. Speaking about the airplanes, I was able to find this interesting and powerful photo. The comments say that it is the beginning of the war. From the trees, I may agree with that. It was during the February 2022, and it was the Russian attack on one of the Ukrainian airfields, so our pilot went to MiG-29 right after attack to protect Ukrainian skies. This photo was taken on the way. The pilot, from what I know his nickname, is still alive and he is good. Russia continued to build the new defense for their aviation in Berdyansk airfield, mostly for helicopters. It is their main base over there. By the way, today there were several of the explosions. Those could have been in that particular place. The helicopter battle range is not very high, so Russia tries to place them not far away from the front lines. Just recently Russia built more of those Caponiers, which might protect the Russian helicopters against the shrapnel, but still there are no any roofs, just the side protection. The satellite images say to us that there are no any airplanes in that military airfield. One more Jurassic T-55 was spotted on the front lines. It has the grille and something on the top, maybe camouflage. According to the recent satellite images, Russia moved the vast part of their Black Sea Marine fleet to Feodosia and to Novorossiysk from the Sevastopol ports, because they too afraid that the Sevastopol port is quite vulnerable for the rocket attacks. The usual good strategy for the Russian Federation is just to run away. Greece sent more of the BTR-1 to Ukrainian army. Many of those are already on the front lines. Soviet-made, but still quite effective. Obviously uncomparable to the Bradley vehicles, but still they run and it's good. The United States of America General Commander Mark Milley retired from his position. He was really supportive for Ukraine. Just recently I read the news that some of the senators accuse him of being not professional. I think that it's not like that. 7 of the European countries ordered the munition for Ukrainian army. They will invest 2 billion euros for this particular project, which Ukraine really needs, because Russia accumulates resources from their allies North Korea and Iran. I told you about it before, that Russia is on the final for the military agreement with both of those countries, which means that we need more weaponry and munition. The International Atomic Agency came out with a resolution calling Russia to transfer the control over the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant to Ukraine immediately. Finally, at least the rhetorics of the International Atomic Agency changed, because they realized that they're out of the tools to control the situation over there. The Russian propaganda spread the information that Ukraine is up to start the new counteroffensive in Kherson region. Also, Ukraine will try to deoccupy the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant by force. All of that should start in the beginning of October, but we understand that we shouldn't trust the official Russian resources. We need to cross-check that information before they reported that Ukraine is ready for the new massive counter-assault in Verbovo and Robotyne, but for 3 consecutive days there is no huge movement on the front lines, so that information wasn't truthful. Some of the Ukrainian resources also spread the same information. Yes, we may discuss and speak about the future Ukrainian counteroffensive operations or the special missions in Sevastopol around the Kerch Bridge, the landing operations, but we don't really know what is happening, because we are not the generals with you in Ukrainian army or even in American army. We are in lack of the information about the real plans, so the Russian resources are. The Ukrainian police found the Russian Tor air defense system with missiles in the Kiev region. Russia retreated from the place and they forgot to take this part with them, so some of the local family stored it on their backyard. Finally, they were uncovered. Actually, they should have passed this tool to Ukrainian army. We really need it. The price for this part of the system with missiles is around $800,000. There was the investigation done by the Trap Aggressor Organization. They found out that the American navigation systems were used for the Russian surveillance operations using the drones or the other equipment. Basically, the American-made modules are used in the Russian drones and other equipment for surveillance. The Russian officers who lost their lives in just 24 hours, colonel, major and couple of lieutenants. Russia still concentrates their attention on Kupiansk region. This time they're cutting the supply lines for Ukrainian army, eliminating the bridges across the Oskil River. Usually they use the gliding bombs to target those massive constructions. Probably they're preparing for the future offensive operation towards Kupiansk. According to the Russian resources, Ukraine continued the counteroffensive towards Novoprokopivka and Verbovo. But again, for the 3rd consecutive day, we don't have the military map update from the deep state military maps, so it's hard to say of how much ground Ukraine was able to liberate over there. But according to the Russian resources, you may see that the great part of Verbovo is in the gray zone. It means that the Ukrainian army entered the village and the fighting is ongoing over there. The same we may say for Novoprokopivka village. The politics in the United States of America may also influence Ukraine. It is all coming to the shutdown of the American government tomorrow. Why? Because there is no agreement for the country budget for 2024. Well, nothing really serious about it. It happened many times before. So it is not critical, but this situation still is not very nice, because it shows the division between the American politicians. Also, without the new budget, Ukraine should wait a little more for the military help. The longest shutdown of the American government happened in 2019 and lasted for 34 days. The Taliban officials went to Russia for the visit and lost all of their passports in one of the shops. Now they are trying to restore those. By the way, Russia says the Taliban is not that brutal as they thought before. Still, this organization is forbidden in Russia, but Russia says that they see the evolution in this organization. So probably they'll have one more ally like North Korea or Iran. Let's go to some of the international news. The president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, said that they will guarantee the rights for Armenian population of so-called Nagorno-Karabakh. Nagorno-Karabakh itself is finished and will cease existing since the new year. Azerbaijan was able to capture the main leaders of so-called Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan says that they will not put any sort of the repressions against the Armenian population on that territory. They are now in dialogue with the local communities and they will respect their rights. At least they say like that. Nevertheless, around 100,000 ethnic Armenians already left Nagorno-Karabakh for Armenia because they are afraid the new power. Now the majority of Armenians are not in a good relation with Russia because Russia didn't support Armenia even though they're in one military alliance. Actually, Russia wants to get rid of the regime in Armenia. They don't really like the Prime Minister of Armenia, Pashinyan, and they do everything to get rid of him. Well, hopefully tomorrow we'll have the new update of the military map. Now, don't forget to press the like to this video. Also, if you want to support my channel, there are some of the links in the video description just below where you may do so. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters and the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Guys, you are awesome. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.